Hey man, let's get right into it, okay? Tyson Fury, of all people, just got fraud checked by Francis Ngannou, of all people. Man, this was a crazy fight. It was a spectacle to watch. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really expecting what we got. No one was, right? But I wasn't expecting to have the feeling that I was feeling while I was watching it. It reminded me of watching Sean Strickland beat up Adesanya for 5 rounds, where you're just sitting there and you're watching it and you just can't believe what you're looking at. You're like, man, this not only is it not what we expected, but it was insane to watch, man. And I have the stats up right here, right now. Okay, let me move myself over here, guys. As you can see, if we're just looking at the final punch stat report here from this boxing scene source, okay, Fury, he didn't do too well. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna act like a hardcore boxing fan. MMA is where it's at for me. But as we can see here, man, when it comes to power punches, Ngannou outlanded him, and everything else, Fury outlanded him in terms of total punches and total jabs, but not by a ton. You know what I mean? It was still really close. And I mean, Francis Ngannou, he did the MMA community proud with this one. Okay, he's the first guy to go from MMA to boxing and not get totally embarrassed. You know what I mean? When I think of other examples, I'm thinking McGregor, and then all of Jake Paul's opponents that have unfortunately lost. Ngannou has held up really well, and Dana fumbled the bag. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was on the train of thought that Francis fumbled the bag for a little bit, and then when I saw that he signed to the PFL, I was like, oh man. I know it was a good deal, lucrative deal for him, but it wasn't like it's no John Jones fight, you know what I mean? But then when I heard that they announced the Fury and Ngannou fight, I was a little more like, all right, good for Francis, but I mean, what's he gonna make? 10 million from this? Same he would have made from John Jones, and he's probably gonna lose in embarrassing fashion. I wasn't saying he fumbled the bag, but I was saying that, I would rather see him in the UFC, which I would. That still holds up to be true. But, I mean, Francis had such a great showing for himself and an incredible boxing debut. I hope he debuts in the top 5 of the WBC rankings. The WBC did say they're going to rank Ngannou in the top 10, but I hope he's in the top 5. I hope he's right under Fury and Usyk. You know what I mean? He had a better performance against Fury than Wilder did. That's Fury's only notable opponent. Oh my god, man. Fury fights cans. That's just another thing I hate about boxing, is the best don't fight the best. But, boxing versus MMA, that could be its own separate video. I've seen a few guys cover that, but Francis Ngannou, the MMA community, we all applaud you. Everyone except Dana White, and I'm convinced that Dana White was the third judge. I'm convinced this was Dana White. This was the 96, what was it, a 96, 93 scorecard, something like that, something ridiculous. Now, in my personal opinion, guys, I scored this fight for Ngannou. I watched it live, I watched the whole thing, and I thought Ngannou walked away with it. Probably 7-3, at worst 6-4 in terms of rounds, because it was a 10-round fight. I can't tell you exactly which rounds I thought he won or didn't win, because boxing is just so ridiculously long. There's so many rounds, you kind of start to forget who won what. But I remember watching it live, thinking that Ngannou did enough, and when the fight ended, I was like, man, they're gonna split decision rob him. Because boxing is in shambles. Boxing just can't have the man coming in 0-0, making his boxing debut. They can't have that guy come in and beat the heavyweight champion of the world, even though everyone who watches it, everyone who knows, they know, all right? So Francis Ngannou, applaud to you. I tip the hat that I don't have on, but Francis Ngannou had an amazing showing for himself. And I want to ask you guys, does he beat AJ? Does he beat Usyk even? Does he beat... I mean, I think he beats Tyson Fury's opponents. Derek Chisora, of course he beats him. Who was the other schmuck? Dillian White, Francis walks through both of those guys. I think Francis even beats Anthony Joshua. You know, Deontay Wilder, I don't know. You know, I think Deontay Wilder might hit harder, but Francis just showed that he has incredible boxing technique. And he did not look like a fish out of water out there like I was expecting. You know, I was expecting him to be slow, lethargic, plotty, just kind of trying to sit down on something and knock Fury out. But, I mean, the fact that he won rounds was incredible. And, guys, I don't really have too much more to say about this fight. It was just really cool to watch, really cool moment in time where you're just sitting there and you can't believe what you're looking at. So one more time, man, shout out to Francis Ngannou. Great performance. Would love to see him box more. And you know what? PFL cans, you better watch out. I think Francis might never lose again in his career. He is a little on the older side. Francis is 37, which I don't love, but you know what? Then again, he's a heavyweight. The last thing that goes is power. And if we know anything about Francis Ngannou from his UFC fights, he doesn't really need technique. You know what I mean? You guys seen that Rosenstruck fight. He can just kind of sit there and windmill punches, and you know, he'll catch you eventually. Of course, he couldn't do that against Tyson Fury, but man, it was absolutely insane to see this image. Oh, wait, I put my camera in the way. This image right here lives on forever. I can't believe it. So, yeah, Tyson Fury got fraud checked. And in my opinion, he shouldn't have won. So how did you guys score the fight, and how do you see Ngannou doing against other heavyweights? Because I see him kind of cleaning up shop. I do. Let me know what you guys think. I'm back.